Hello anime and manga fans, I'm Kyle Glockner and welcome back to another episode of Animanga. With the second movie in the Fate/stay night Heaven's Feel trilogy recently coming out here in the States, I felt in the mood to review one of the Fate franchise's many anime adaptations. After mulling over which one I wanted to review, I decided on one I had never heard of before I saw that was airing back in 2017, but quickly became one of my favorites amongst the Fate franchise. So today, I'll be reviewing Fate Apocrypha. So before I get into this, you're probably wondering where exactly Apocrypha falls in the Fate timeline. In order to explain this, I'm gonna have to break out the good old Fate flowchart. So, let's take a look. So the Fate series originated from the series Fate/stay night, which was a visual novel that contained 3 routes, Fate, Unlimited Blade Works, and Heaven's Feel, which have to be played in that order. The Fate route was adapted in 2006 by Studio Dean, but you don't have to watch that one because it's terrible. There are 2 adaptations of the Unlimited Blade Works route, one of which was a movie done by Studio Dean in 2010, and the other which was a full series which was done by Ufotable in 2014. Heaven's Feel is currently being adapted into a trilogy of movies which are also done by Ufotable, 2 of which have been released with a 3rd part slated for 2020. Then there's Fate Zero, which is a light novel that served as a prequel to the Fate/stay night and was adapted by Ufotable in 2011 and covers the 4th Holy Grail War. As far as where to start watching, the Fate and Unlimited Blade Works routes spoil Fate Zero, while Fate Zero spoils the Heaven's Feel route, so really it's up to you to pick your poison there. So now that we've established that, you can throw it all out the window because Fate Apocrypha takes place in a completely separate timeline where none of this happened. See, Apocrypha takes place after the 3rd Holy Grail War in a timeline where a ruler was summoned instead of an Avenger, which resulted in the Grail being moved from Fuyuki to Romania, which is where this Holy Grail War takes place. Well, now that that's all out of the way, let's get into the actual review. Fate Apocrypha is about the 4th Holy Grail War, which is fought between 2 opposing factions, the Black faction and the Red faction, each consisting of 7 masters who each summon a servant, while the Grail itself summons Jeanne d'Arc as the ruler to oversee the war. The story mainly focuses on a homunculus named Sig, Jeanne d'Arc, as well as the rest of the Black faction. One of the things I like about Apocrypha in particular is just how many characters are present. More specifically, I like the amount of servants that we have in this particular Holy Grail War. One of the coolest parts of the Fate series is seeing historical or mythological figures reimagined as powerful servants of various classes, and learning the lore about their noble phantasms and how some of them came to be within the Fate universe. Apocrypha includes some of my favorite servants across the Fate franchise, including Mordred, Atalanta, Vlad III, Jack the Ripper, Jeanne d'Arc, and of course, the best servant ever, Frankenstein. On top of those servants, the masters are also all pretty strong, especially Mordred's master. While some people have complained about the copious amounts of characters, it genuinely never bothered me, and I felt like I was able to get to know each one of them throughout the series, especially with how the 2 arcs are split up among the 25 episodes of the series. Going back to the servants for a bit, I feel like they had some of the best development of servants throughout the animated Fate franchise. Off the top of my head, some of the most developed servants outside of Apocrypha would be King Arthur, Iskandar, Nameless Archer, and Gilgamesh. In Apocrypha, I feel like most of the servants have character development on par with these characters. Jeanne is one of the main characters, so it makes sense that they go really in depth with her, but even servants who aren't as prevalent in the series, like Frankenstein, Siegfried, Vlad, and Jack, all feel like deep characters despite not being around all that much. And that's not to say that all of the other servants don't have deep character moments or development throughout the series. While they may not see as much of a spotlight as the servants I named earlier, I feel like I got to know them better than some of the servants in both Stay Night and Zero. Another thing about Apocrypha I'd like to talk about is the fight scenes. The Fate series has always been known for great fight scenes, but I feel like Apocrypha's fights are some of the best in the series. Given, in my opinion, they won't top certain fights in Unlimited Blade Works and may not have the emotional impact of some of the Zero fights, but I loved the Apocrypha fights despite that. I would go into more details about certain fights, but I don't want to get into spoilers, so you'll have to check out the series for yourself to learn more. Like I said earlier, Fate Apocrypha is one of my favorite entries in the Fate franchise. One of the reasons I like it so much is because it's so removed from the familiar story from Stay Night and Zero. I went into this series with absolutely no knowledge on what could possibly happen throughout, and I loved that. Between the characters, the fights, and the story itself, I could honestly recommend having someone using this particular anime to get into the Fate franchise. Then they can deal with all the Stay Night and Zero nonsense later. Oh, and don't even get me started on Fate Grand Order. Fate Apocrypha was directed by Yoshiyuki Asai, produced by Shizuka Kurosaki, Yoshiyuki Shiotani, and Tomoyuki Owada, and animated by A1 Pictures, while the original light novel series was written by Yuichiro Higashide. Like I said, if you want to get into the Fate franchise but aren't sure where to start, I think Apocrypha is a very good starting point. But to be fair, you'll probably be a little confused no matter where you start. This is fate after all. But that's all the time I have for today, so let me know what you think by tweeting me at ZTVGoofingOff using the hashtag Animanga. Until then, I'm Kyle Glockner. This has been Animanga.
今かすかに届いたその